With the National Assembly due to elect a new president on Friday, then the announcement of a new cabinet, there's no certainty on what's going to happen in the Water Affairs Ministry over the last few years, since Mqunu has been making major changes, appearing to try and deal with some of our water problems. And some of our water problems are massive. Some people in rural areas have not had water for over 2 years, in some places even more. In some urban areas, there are major problems with water supplies which are unreliable. Dr. Ferrial Adam is the Executive Manager at WaterCAN. It's affiliated with Outer. Dr. Adam, good afternoon to you. A new water minister, new person, whoever it is, has to take over. How big is that job at the moment? Must be one of the most difficult jobs in national government.
It definitely is. I think it is a huge job. And you've mentioned the lack of water and lack of access, but also the fact that almost half of our water systems are compromised with, by bacteria. So you can't even drink the water from the taps. So there's that issue as well. So it's both a quality and a quantity. So yes, it's definitely a big portfolio, and it's an important one, and it needs to be given an urgency that I don't think I see right now.
There's so many aspects to it, and I mean, we probably need to start by saying, should it remain a standalone ministry? It's currently the Ministry of Water Affairs and Sanitation. There is sometimes a discussion around changing government departments around. I would imagine it's just too big a portfolio to put with another portfolio. There was an experiment that was put with human settlements at one time. I don't think that worked. No, it didn't. And I think water and sanitation in itself should stay together, and that is big enough. But I think adding it to another portfolio would actually just kind of minimize the kind of challenges you have at water and sanitation level. So that may be the worst kind of thing. It doesn't mean that governments must continue working in silos, but I do think that this is a portfolio that water and sanitation should not be shifted around. OK, so there are a couple of things. The first is managing our water resources, making sure we have enough water. A large part of that is managing our relationship with Lesotho, for example, but it's also maintaining dams. I think there are 20 dams that come under this ministry. What kind of programs would a person in that position need to follow there?
I mean, I think if you talk about our dams, we need to look at countrywide, our infrastructure. And that is a big thing in terms of the state of our infrastructure, whether it's the dams and bulk water supply, and then also the supplies to provinces and municipalities. So those are the kind of things that I think would be the big things. But then in terms of your sanitation, almost 70% of our wastewater treatment works are not operating, and it is not good enough for a national government to then say, no, but this is a local government kind of responsibility because it's not working. So whoever comes into that position needs to realize that that kind of water and sanitation needs to be looked at both in terms of our wastewater treatment works as well as the state of our infrastructure. I mean, Stephen, I think that the AG released a report last year, the year before, that just said that almost 90% of our dams have not had basic checks and maintenance for a while. So that is something that's concerning.
Sure. Very concerning. I mean, what happens if they spring a leak and that's,
Spring a leak might be light in compared to what might happen if you don't look at your infrastructure of your dams.
Yeah, and you need the right people to look at it. I mean, I kind of didn't want to go there, but I'm absolutely with you. The other big problem, it seems to me, is that you need to manage the relationship with the municipalities. I mean, there's an example in Ferrial when people have explained to us that, in fact, at a mass meeting, the current minister, Senator Mqunu, basically dragged along the mayor of eThekwini and Xolisi Kunda, they're from the same political party, and basically forced the mayor to hear from residents. And we've seen Mqunu essentially trying to be more assertive, maybe take a little bit of power from municipalities, forcing them to do the right thing with water. Should that process continue? I mean, municipalities, we can see, frankly, don't seem to be on top of this.
I think it definitely needs to continue. I think Minister Mqunu has done an amazing job in terms of bridging that gap between the national and the local. And that's what was needed. He's also taken leadership. In the short time that he was in that position, he's fundamentally changed the department, and he's changed the department's direction. He's put leaders into positions so that you've got a permanent DG, you've got other people that are like blue scorpions, etc., that are getting things done. And that's what we need. The challenge is whether all of this kind of negotiating around who gets what positions and the government of national unity or coalitions, water is not seen as that municipality that everyone's fighting for, so the ANC might give it off to someone else, whether or not that minister is going to be strong enough to deal with the challenges. And I think the fact that Minister Mkhunu comes from the ANC is that he was able to do that in municipalities that were ANC run. And that is something that also was quite significant.
You seem almost, Dr. Adam, to talk about Senator Mkhunu with approval. Do you think it would just be easier if he stayed?
It would be fantastic if he stayed, not because of me thinking that he's been doing a good job. It's about the fact that we need consistency. Is that to deal with the issues and the water crisis and the urgency we have right now, we just on track to getting somewhere, and we need consistency, and that is what I'm focusing on. I think it's not just a person, but it's about what he has done in that space and time. If we can get other ministers that can do that, that's fantastic. Of course, there are issues that we disagree with in terms of what Minister Mkhunu has done on certain levels, where he has not said that we are facing a water crisis in the country. There are other issues that we differ in terms of policies, etc. But I think on the whole, there's been a move in the right direction to understand that we need to deal with water and our water and sanitation challenges. And then there's this changing now after only 3 years of being in that position is not, you need follow through on this portfolio. And I'm worried that we won't have it.
Dr. Ferrial Adam, thank you, Executive Manager at WaterCAN, affiliated to OUTA. I do appreciate the time.